Hey everybody, and welcome to a very small mini-series in which I'll be building a reindeer reserve in Planet Zoo. But I won't be I won't be doing it alone. I've got my dear friend Wikz here. Hi Wikz.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I am doing all right. How about yourself?
Doing quite okay, given the circumstances.
Yeah.
But supposedly we were gonna record this, I think almost more than 3 months ago, actually. That was the original plan, right?
Yeah, sort of, yeah, when the DLC kind of dropped, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because this is like completely the wrong theme, because I think by the time this video comes out, tomorrow, the new South American pack will come out, but we started this little side project as a way to explore the pieces from the Arctic pack. So yeah, this is definitely a little bit late.
Yeah, it is, but well, it's okay. I mean,
yeah,
but better that it comes out than it just doesn't see daylight.
Yeah, exactly. Now the funny thing is that we were originally planning to record this in a way that I've never done it before, and I think you've never done it before either, as in we wanted to like physically record together because we were gonna be in the same space on New Year's Eve when we were actually celebrating New Year's Eve together, which was super cool.
It was.
But yeah, that didn't end up happening. And then all of a sudden, here we are 3 months later, and there's a new DLC. And we are kind of like, alright, if we don't put this thing out right now, then it's going to be way too outdated, and people are just going to laugh at us. So, yeah. Getting this out at some horrible timing. But yeah, the idea was basically to explore the Arctic pieces. And at the time, which was over 3 months ago, I think we found the reindeer a really cool animal to work with, because everybody was building like polar bear habitats and all kinds of cool things, and I feel like the reindeer never got the love that it deserved.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, we did actually have some sort of a concept, but then our good friend Jurre came right out of the nowhere.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And took our little concept.
Yeah. Damn.
Which were awesome, by the way. But
yeah, that was so cool. Actually, I'll link that in the description, because that was such a cool build. Like, for the longest time, we were thinking of building some sort of Viking thing with a polar bear habitat, and including some sort of shipwreck viewing platform with it, all kinds of crazy ideas that we were brainstorming. And I think just the day after we sort of came up with those ideas, Jurre just posted the most ridiculous build ever, just a completely custom Viking ship. It was so cool. So
very impressive.
Yeah, we had to come up with something else eventually, which ended up being the reindeer habitat. And specifically for the theme, I think this was kind of coming more from my side at the time. I just always wanted to try a Russian sort of architecture, so that's how this little building here started out. Specifically, there's a thing called a dacha. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, it's a Russian kind of summer house that a lot of Russian people have and used to have in Soviet Union times, which I think is quite culturally relevant, because many people lived in the city, lived in small apartment blocks that were very similar and strictly regulated. But you could have like a summer house somewhere in nature where you could go for your holidays. And this inspired a whole sort of own architecture style, and I thought this was a really cool kind of architecture. I think we both actually found this from a booklet that included Russian architecture and included a bunch of this dacha architecture. I just forgot the name of it.
Yeah, I remember, Maybe I can find it here.
But there's in any case like this booklet with some really cool drawings of Russian architecture that I think were never really realized. But it was a huge inspiration actually for my Maros coaster and Planet Coaster back in the day, and I think it's just such a cool sort of sugar-coated wooden but super detailed kind of architecture with lots of really cool ornaments and just so much like things you can do with the wooden detailing that it's something really fun to build in this game. So I just really wanted to give that a try, and that's where this kind of build came from. So this is going to be the main shelter inside the habitat, which is kind of against what I usually like to do, because I'm more of a fan of making natural shelters for animals, just kind of more of their natural environment, I guess. But given that these are reindeer, I just thought it would be really cool thematically to give them some sort of almost Christmassy vibe, Russian traditional architecture with a lot of woodwork and detailing. And yeah, I think this architecture from this booklet was just the right thing for it. God, I'm so mad I forgot the name of it. Did you find any pictures of it?
No, I'm trying to scroll here, finding some stuff.
Oh well.
But yeah, it definitely also helped me when I had to build something out of this style here.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing. If I do end up finding it, I'm definitely gonna link it somewhere. But I think the way that I went about this, and I think the way that you're doing it as well, is just saving some of the coolest pictures from this booklet and putting them somewhere on your computer, and not actually saving any references or anything. So I always lose where I actually got the pictures from. Wow.
Yeah. I kind of have like an inspiration folder once in a while, but that is just like everything.
Yeah, same for me. Which I also think is like something really important to have. For me, the question of like what inspires you and keeps you going comes up so much. And I think something that just works more than anything is just keeping a folder where, you know, everything that you come across that inspires you, you just save it in there. Or if you want to start a new theme and you're not sure how to tackle it, just look up a bunch of references and save it in there, and you always have something like a crutch to fall back on and to get inspiration from.
That's kind of like how I've done it the last few years I've been playing these games.
Yeah, it's same. And it's really fun as well.
Yeah. I also have this issue, like sometimes I need kind of like some sort of reference picture just to get started, to get the kickstart, sort of like the base of the building, and like the structure and stuff. And
yeah,
it really helps sometimes. You don't have to like go and build what exactly the picture shows. It just kind of like helps you get going.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is also something I did in my video when I try to build something as you are building here.
Yeah, no, that's always the way that it kind of works for me as well. Just something to fall back on. I mean, nobody comes up with ideas completely on their own. Even in real life, architects always take their inspiration from somewhere, and you know, that's just kind of the cool thing about creative processes in general, is that you always take things that you've seen and just kind of blend them together in your head, maybe add a few things, and this whole new thing comes out.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I was getting...
Man, this roof here...
Yeah, I was getting kind of annoyed at this point because it's such a hassle every time to build these shingle roofs, but I think it's worth it.
Oh, it looks amazing. Just spot on.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's... I'm so glad, actually, that this African piece is included in the game, the one with all of the logs that you see, because... the thing that you so often find on these Russian but also other kinds of Nordic architecture is these walls made out of logs, where it's just a bunch of wooden logs on top of each other that form the wall. And it kind of looks like this building looks as though all of these logs are just separate individual pieces. But I'm so glad that there's this African piece where you can just stack a few of them on top of each other, and you don't have to like put endless logs on top of each other, because otherwise I'm pretty sure, you know, with the shingle roof also, this building would have exceeded the maximum amount of pieces for a blueprint, and probably also started lagging a lot.
Yeah, I think you told me actually when I got into the zoo that there's these sort of log things on the Africa theme that I could use, and you're right, they're really helpful.
Yeah,
really helpful.
Yeah, no, those things are definitely the lifesavers of this entire build, especially because, and this is just something that keeps happening to me in Planet Zoo, whenever you build too many items too close to each other, And I guess it's something to do with the calculation of where animals can travel, but the building just becomes really laggy. Like it would take seconds to place one new piece or something like that. I don't know if you've had that as well.
Oh, I had it, especially in the back into beta. Actually, I had that a lot. Also with the terrain and stuff.
Yeah. This game just gets so confused if you put too many pieces too close to each other.
Yeah, it's not happy. It's not happy for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember because I went in here after you, and I also built a custom roof and stuff, and I immediately just like had this sort of, I just lost so many frames already just by that. It was kind of like,
Yeah, for context, by the way, we're recording this so late that at the point that we are recording this commentary, we also already finished. Well, Wikz already finished the time-lapse for the second episode as well, so we're really gonna have to like storm through this thing and actually finish it sometime soon. Which on the bright side at least, we'll be able to put these episodes out pretty quickly. Like once this episode is out, the next one can come maybe, I don't know, a few days later or so.
Maybe even the next day, I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. Although I also have to be honest, I kind of feel like personally, once the South American pack comes out, I do want to play with that a bit more. I think it's going to be a bit dangerous to have this sort of like Arctic old build laying around, which almost feels a bit outdated as soon as that DLC comes out, but we really have to get back into it and try to finish it.
Yeah, I mean, we do have like I want to make like a little extra thing after that. I did, add in some shops, and then I think you want to do some more with the habitat and stuff.
Yeah.
So
there's
it's a short series, as you said. It's nothing super crazy.
Yeah, I guess we haven't really explained it too much, but the idea is really just to stick to one habitat and just make one like really detailed habitat with a small area around it and some shops or restaurants or kind of things like this, like one complete little themed area inside a fictional zoo, and that'll just be the project in general.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which I think for me is kind of good also because my computer just doesn't handle large parks. At least I know for Koali Zoo it's already breaking down and I'm at like 15 FPS, so I think for the time being, as long as I have this computer, I'm really just gonna try to stick also to these smaller habitat-focused builds. Yeah,
then you can also maybe like get more into it, like focus more if you just focus on one habitat or two maybe, depend. But
yeah, that's true. Yeah, because this one is gonna be quite detailed.
It is. Yeah, I mean, I was just about to say that building you did is absolutely stunning.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah, it's basically the focus of this first episode. Like, aside from this building, I'll just be building the general surroundings and a start for the viewing platforms of the actual habitat. But this building is really kind of the focus of this episode, and my goal for the rest of it is to just build a landscape around it to put it in the right context and see what it looks like eventually. It's supposed to kind of resemble the general look of a stable building, which is why I kind of feel like for reindeers, they're not as wild of an animal as some things are, and I guess, are they tameable actually? I don't know to what extent they are.
Me neither, actually.
It's interesting. I actually should have looked much more into that probably before this. But no, I just feel like for them it fits, and it just creates this cool scene if you're looking from the perspective of the guests. I'm actually gonna look that up. Can they be tamed? I don't know. I mean, the Santa Claus has reindeer.
Let me try.
They are semi-domesticated apparently.
Okay.
So I guess my instinct was right there. Yeah, I just kind of assumed that. But I don't know if they're really used for anything per se. I'm just looking through the Wikipedia at this point. But at least there are a lot of them still in the world, so that's good. Although they are vulnerable but that is pretty much every animal at this point. Because some of the animals in Planet Zoo, like honestly, this game taught me a lot about animals, because before it came out, like I would go to zoos sometimes, but I wasn't, an animal expert in any way. But now every time I start a habitat for an animal and I read through the entire, all of the info on the Zoopedia in the game to know, what I need to provide for them, I'm slowly becoming more of an animal expert.
Well, I mean, that is good. I mean, it is good when you can do that and then build some pretty cool habitats. I mean, I'm like more... Yeah, I mean, I don't go into so much I build a habitat for them, but that's I think that's basically that. I don't research so much. I just like the building aspect, to be honest.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's fair enough. It's also, I guess, the kind of thing where everybody has their own sort of favorite niche as well to do. And I don't know, for me, your kind of niche is really like building shops and restaurants and all of these kinds of like really lively buildings and stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
Which is also funny because I'm also a lot into architecture, but like the total opposite. My buildings are usually way too dead and not actually functional. So in that sense, I think we actually cover each other kind of well, which is also pretty important usually in a collab. At this point, I'm just sort of adding the foliage. By the way, I'm not entirely sure how happy I am keeping it this open, because I'm really considering whether it should be more forested. Because I'm not going to put much more trees than this in. But yeah, I like it so far. I might play a bit more with that later.
I kind of like it a little bit more open.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have it here.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
kind of nice.
I also have to give a shout out to PondShrimp, who has a really cool YouTube channel as well, which is kind of underrated. I don't think I've actually ever talked about PondShrimp in one of my videos, but no, they make some really cool videos. So I'm just going to link that down. And I got really inspired by their rock work, because I saw PondShrimp do this kind of trick where you put a bunch of very small rocks together, especially around the edges of a lake or underneath the water surface, which I think was a really cool way to do it. Normally I just kind of stick to the very large rocks, but putting a bunch of these really small ones actually looks really cool as well. So it
does actually.
Yeah, that's what kind of this rock work was inspired by. Which in general, PondShrimp is just so good at foliage. In that sense, I feel like they're kind of like Mike, who's just also way too good at foliage, and I wish I could one day become as good at it as they are. It just takes so much knowledge. Like,
it really does.
Yeah, I think my extent of foliage is really just putting a bunch of trees and shrubs together as I see fit until it just kind of starts looking good. And meanwhile, they're always like, oh, and this is this exact tree, and it has this and this name, and it needs this amount of sunlight, and it works well in this kind of context. It's absolutely insane.
I mean, it's good to know those kind of people.
Oh yeah, that is true.
For sure.
Yep.
But I'm also like you there. I'm like, this tree looks good here. What if I place one more? Oh, this also looks good. I mean, it's just, I'm not really. I mean, of course, if I'm building something, like I don't put like a desert plant or something next to a fantasy or like that I can. But if there's leaves on the tree, whatever.
Same. Sometimes I even like go outside the biome or the continent if it just looks good. Although I also have to say, I know that Mike also does that a lot. Like very often if you start pulling apart his foliage, it's also still more about, making it look good than making it completely realistic, which I think is also fair enough. I think you should also do it like that to some extent, because if you just let yourself be limited by the foliage that the game itself has for certain themes or certain like countries, you end up with very limited amount of foliage, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Then you don't have a lot of choices to go with.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I think I do want to experiment more with this general sort of path thing, because I just kind of put this here because I figured the only choice I had for this was just to put down a straight concrete wall. But especially with the thing that you build in the next episode, which I'm not going to spoil anything about, but looking at what that's going to look like, I think this wall looks just horrendous, and I want to experiment a bit more with that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, I mean, I know you're gonna do more stuff on it. That's more what I meant.
Yeah. I'm just not sure yet what, but it's definitely a placeholder that'll get fixed at some point. Maybe actually, once we get the new pieces in the South American pack, there might be some useful stuff in that. I'm not sure.
Oh well,
but
I bet there will be.
Yeah, maybe
hopefully some more clutter.
Yeah, exactly. And just some general rock work and foliage and things like that. Even if it's a South American pack, there should hopefully be some stuff that can work in different themes.
Oh, for sure, always. Foliage is just nice.
Yep. Although I'm mostly looking forward to the new glass pieces. Those are just going to be so cool.
Oh yeah, that's right, we get those. I forgot that.
Yeah, you can do a lot with those because they're finally, they don't have anything around the glass, so you can do pretty much, shape them in whatever way you can. So that's going to be super cool.
Yeah, I remember when we got that in Planco at the time.
Oh yeah, that was a game changer.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, it's kind of weird to me that they have all this glass in the game. Mm-hmm. Why didn't they just add it first of all?
Right?
It doesn't make sense to me.
And I was questioning this back then as well, because, I mean, obviously we can't look into what they're doing and, what they have to work with. But for the longest time, they were saying that they couldn't add separate glass pieces because it would lag the game or, just not work with the engine. But when they added it, it was working fine. And before that, there were a few similar glass pieces as well, which were just not, off the grid and weren't separate glass pieces. But yeah, I'm glad that they figured it out much quicker with Planet Zoo, I guess, because those things are just so flexible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really save it some time.
Yep.
Especially if it's off grid. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Making a backstage building here?
Yeah, kind of. This is sort of the holding area for the animals, so where they could get treated or where they could make the food, etc., or the actual shelter where they're gonna stay outside the view of the guests. And I know it looks ugly, like really boxy and straight, but I want to hide this building away as much as possible and just kind of have it blend in with the general area. So there will also be some trees around it and some small trees on top of it as well on that green roof to sort of block the view of this shelter in general and just, not make it pop out as much as possible. And once a few trees are placed in front of it, I think from the perspective of the path at least, you really have to pay very close attention to notice it in the distance. So that should hopefully, make for an actual shelter, which is kind of unnoticeable, and instead hopefully the people's attention will go to the shelter building, which is like detailed and stuff. So yeah.
detailed and stuff.
Yeah, because the other one is literally just a bunch of concrete walls and stuff. I was also kind of getting tired at this point. I was just like, all right, let's get it over with.
Fair.
Yeah.
But it looks awesome nevertheless, everything you've done here.
Thank you, man. And speaking of getting it over with, that's going to be it for this episode. So yeah, I'd like to thank you, Wikz, for coming over and hosting this commentary with me.
Thank you, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you, everybody in the audience viewing this video. And for the next video, we're going to head over to Wikz's channel. And yeah, well, let's see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.